All right, so here's my next video for playground number 2. This is the comparison playground. So let's see what it's all about. It's a lot shorter than the last one, so that's fun. Okay, I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch where through thar. I no longer want to read this, but it's from this person right here. It's That's a Greek name. Or is it Roman? I can't remember. It's one of the two. Ulysses. So, all right. An average American vacation costs about 1,100 per person. An average American wedding costs about 30,000. These are big expenses. So let's create a fun comparison. Pick one, either a vacation or a wedding. And over here we have a picture of what I want, what I can afford. This is accurate. All right, so if I had to pick between a vacation and a wedding, I would probably choose a vacation just because that would seem so nice. Vacation, going somewhere. First, create one version of your event with an above average cost. Split that cost among categories of expenses. Then refine your plan by cutting costs to make it more affordable but still satisfactory version. Using the same and categories of expenses. If you pick the vacation comparison, there are per day costs and fixed costs. Per day costs can include food, lodging, daily transportation, entertainment, shopping, and pet childcare. Pet/childcare. I consider pets my children, or my nieces and nephews, or my brothers and sisters. They're family. They're my little fur babies. Okay. Fixed costs can include start and transportation, maps, passports, and visas, foreign transaction fees, medications, and emergency expenses. That makes sense. I think that my average vacation cost when I do end up taking a vacation is actually well under 1,100. Um, I try to keep it as cheap as possible. I think my most expensive vacation that I ever took was around 2,000 that I spent. So that was a fun thing to do, was spend $2,000 on a vacation down to California to visit friends and family. 10 out of 10 would do that again. I had a blast. All right. If you pick the wedding comparison, there are per guest costs and fixed costs. Per guest costs can include pre-reception food and drinks, the reception meal, reception drinks, and tables and chairs at the reception. Fixed costs can include invitations, music, photography. Sorry, photography. Why did I say photography? I don't know, but it's photography. Flowers, dress, rings, bridesmaid expenses, rehearsal dinner, the ceremony room, and the honeymoon. That all makes sense. And I mean, I don't really have a lot planned for a wedding, even though I'm very obviously um, on the younger end of the spectrum and very obviously female. I have not necessarily thought about weddings all too often, nor have I really planned my wedding. I think the most planning I have is I want it to be outdoors. That is my biggest thing, is when I get married, I would like it to be an outdoor wedding. Preferably like a nice little clearing in foresty area. I don't know, something like that. But I'm pretty sure I would make my wedding as cost effective as possible. I'm not going to be overly expensive but not overly cheap, like right there in the middle, preferably below 30,000. If I need to make my own wedding dress, I will. But yeah, that's my goal. So hopefully, yeah, be interesting. So basically, this is a very short one for this playground, kind of understanding this. Um, it's not very clear with the playgrounds what is really wanted or how to really do them. My method is to read through them and kind of explain what I've learned. And with this one, I have actually learned that everything just kind of has its ups and downs. And on one end of the spectrum, you can have something really expensive and extravagant that you really, really want, but you can't necessarily afford. And so, with the sin categories and everything, you can get something cheaper that you can actually afford and still enjoy it. Um, it's just playing around with the numbers and seeing what you can afford and what you can't afford. Um, keeping in mind the different things. So very much so, I would say comparisons represents this photo right here, what I want and what I can afford. I don't think there's any better way of explaining comparisons, but that. Or over here, you have the two different types of cars. Obviously, the more beat up one that would probably be a lot cheaper, and then you got the fancy little sports car over here. Um, what I want, what I can afford. Correction, I can't afford either of these. But no, this playground kind of puts into perspective kind of the average of the really expensive and the really cheap and just bringing them together to see what the average costs for people are for weddings and vacations, which is pretty interesting. And I mean, who goes on vacation alone? So this number here of the 1100 per person, it could easily go up if you add every person together. Um, and to answer the question of who goes vacationing alone, it's me. I vacation alone all the time. Yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, so that's all I really have to say on this playground. It's not exactly straightforward, and but at the same time, it is. Um, I don't necessarily have a vacation or a wedding comparison in mind, but let's come up with something. So a comparison for a vacation would be, say, if you decide to go on vacation in Italy for a week. That's going to be a whole lot more expensive than if you were to either vacation at home and just have a nice relaxing time at home, but that wouldn't really be a vacation per se, it's just staying home. Or taking a vacation to another state. Vacationing to another state in your country, in this case, America, would be a whole lot cheaper than going out of country all the way to Italy. It's definitely going to be a lot cheaper to stay in America at that point. Um, so yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Oh, as for a wedding comparison, say someone wanting a really extravagant princess themed wedding in a really expensive chapel with a huge reception, many, many guests, and all of that. Um, a ton of photography, flowers everywhere, an extravagant dress, several bridesmaids, um, an overly luxurious honeymoon. Whereas that's going to be more expensive than, say, if you just had a wedding in your backyard and you just invited your friends and your family, right? And you had your friends and family take the photos, and you didn't decorate everything with flowers, and you kept your dress simple with one or two bridesmaids, and a very simple honeymoon, and a very simple ceremony room. It's just really simplistic. That's going to be cheap. That's going to be, actually, my opinion, a lot sweeter than a larger wedding. But yeah, there's a comparison for the wedding thing as well as the vacation. So it's kind of easy to comprehend the whole comparison thing. So I just didn't want to go through and do all of the little numbers for every single category, but definitely learned that if there's something expensive, there's going to be something cheap. There's never just one solid thing, there's always going to be two sides of the same coin, right? You have the expensive side, you have the cheap side, and right there in the middle that binds the two sides together, that's going to be your average cost. That's how I see it. That's how I'm choosing to interpret it. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong and I accept this. And if you want to correct me, go right ahead. But that's how I'm interpreting this. So, yeah,